I didn't know I was going to be a data scientist at all. How was your interview process? After I graduated, I didn't have a job lined up. I would definitely say that when you're first out of school, the big tech is going to be really hard to break into. Startups would hire mindset over skills or experience. How to build projects in data analytics. If you're looking at entry-level data scientist position, you can expect a salary of... Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I've been doing data science Q&A on my Instagram story for almost a year now, but I don't feel like I'm doing it justice in just a short video format. I usually get way more questions than I could answer in a session, so I thought I would answer some of the questions in depth here in today's video. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Maggie. I'm a data scientist working at a logistic tech startup in Toronto, Canada. Today's video is all about data science. First, we'll go through questions about my data science journey. Where did I go to school? Did I do any internships? How was my interview process? What are my hours like, and what salary can you expect going into the field? Then I'll answer some of the questions targeting day-to-day work of a data scientist. Things like, what do you actually do on a project? How often do people ask for help? Or what do you do when nobody has the data? Which is a very solid question, by the way. And last but not least, we'll cover how you can break into data science, and more specifically, how you can build out your data science portfolios to stand out in the interview and job search process. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, what is your most recent college and degree? Just a bit of more background here. I went to the University of Toronto for my undergraduate studies. I did a double major in statistics and human geography with a minor in GIS. At the time when I had to choose my major, I would say I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. My father actually really recommended me to do something with math or statistics, and I was very good at math in high school, so I thought, okay, why not? But for my other major, I really wanted to balance it out with sort of the arts to complement the science, because I've always been really interested in the way people think, like psychology, the way society comes together, transportation, the movement of people, and movement of goods. And I stumbled onto this course called Cities, I think it was Urbans. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was something about urban life and cities. I really enjoyed the course. I loved every single topic. I read the whole textbook because I was really interested in it. And then I found this whole other stream called human geography, which is something that I've never heard of before. I didn't know that was a major or it was a thing. While I was looking through the curriculum, I discovered that I wanted to take so many classes. All of the classes looked really interesting to me, and that's when I knew this was going to be my second major. And at the time when I was in school, whenever I tell people about my major combination, they always say, oh, that's so weird, what are you going to do about that? To be honest, I didn't know, and I didn't know that I was going to be a data scientist at all. Everything just kind of fell into place, and you see as I answer a bit more questions. And let's continue with the questions. So the second question is, how did you choose your final college project? I don't think my school had a final college project. What I did was I took a lot of research courses. So essentially I was able to find professors who were looking for research assistants, and I was able to help out, and I got class credit in exchange of my time instead of being paid. And so in total, I would say I did 7 internships. Out of the 7 internships, 3 or 4 of them were sort of a research project that involved a real client, but also I had to do a school component like writing a final essay to get the grades for that class. And I definitely think you should take advantage of those classes that you have at school that are beyond just teaching you the knowledge lecture style, because I think those classes really give you the material for your resume when you're looking for your first job and don't have any other experience. My very first job, I was a work study student. That means I was working on campus, and I had the title of transcription and data analysis assistant. So essentially I was listening to audio recordings of interviews with students, have to manually transcribe them. And with my team, we put together a presentation for the upper management stakeholders at the university who would like to improve on the student experience by listening to what students have to say first. And so that was my very first experience. And then from there, I was able to slowly get myself into the data world. I didn't have the data scientist title for all 7 of them, but as I progressed through each of the internship, I was doing more and more of data related roles. I would say the most notable one was when I was working at a research center at a local hospital here in Toronto under the supervision of a statistics professor from school. And I was working alongside of other PhD postdoc students who have a degree in statistics, and we're looking at COVID together. We're looking at disease mapping and things like that. And that was a lot of statistics, a lot of data science. Even though my title was geospatial researcher, I was doing a lot of data science work already. I got all 7 of my internship experience through cold emailing and just reaching out to people. So I definitely recommend that if you are a student, because people love to help students out and you're showing that you're willing to put in the work and willing to learn. And that's something that people or professor or managers would like to see. Before we go too far on a tangent, let's go to the next question. Did you have a master's degree? If not, how did you first break into data science? So I don't have a master's degree. I don't think it's very common anymore, but I definitely think it's still possible to break into data science without a master's degree. For me, it was really of the internship experience that I had, and also a website that I built consisted of a bunch of data science portfolio projects that really helped me get my first job. And we'll talk all about the data science portfolios towards the end of this video. How was your interview process? This is an interesting one. After I graduated, I didn't have a job lined up. At the time, I thought it was really hard, but I definitely think right now is a harder time for new grads to get their foot into the door than when I graduated in the midst of COVID, just because of all the layoffs and the economy. But it was still very hard to apply to more than 100 positions. I heard back from about 10 to 15 of them, which I had the first round of interview with, and then I had a second round of interview with, I would say, 5 companies, and then third round of interview with 2 companies. And then I was able to get my current position. I would definitely say that when you're first out of school, the big tech is going to be really hard to break into unless you already had internship experience there. It may not be a bad idea to look into startups. In general, startups would hire mindset over skills or experience, because in a startup environment, the direction really changes all the time and you wear multiple hats and doing a lot of things. Nobody has it figured out yet. So they really value the qualities, like if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to put in the hard work, and if you just want to get your hands dirty and play around with things. That's something that they really value and you should really talk about in your interview process. But yeah, definitely there are harder companies to break into, easier companies to break into, but regardless, you get your foot in the door. That's what's the most important. And in terms of the technical components of my interviews, I did have quite a few of Python take-home assignments or live coding. I also had 1 or 2 product walkthroughs for product data scientist position at tech companies, where they would give you a scenario and you would walk them through how you'd solve that business problem. For the job I ended up getting, I don't think I did any technical assignments at all. I was chatting with my manager after the fact, and he was telling me what really made me stand out was the fact that I had a data science portfolio and I was able to showcase what I can do beyond the school environment. Next question. What are working hours in your company? I got really lucky that my company has a really flexible work hour or work policy. Because we are a global company, it's actually headquartered in Singapore. There is a 12-hour difference between Toronto and Singapore. So I do have a lot of morning and evening meetings. I definitely don't do a typical 9 to 5 as much as I want to stick my schedule to a 9 to 5, just because I have meetings sometimes at 8 a.m. to accommodate my colleagues in Europe or India. I also frequently have meetings at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. to accommodate meetings with the Singapore team. On the days that I do have those really early, really late meetings, I don't work the full 9 to 5 to balance out my evening time. In general, I would say that my work hours are very flexible. If I have a dentist appointment during the day, or if I have an errands to run, that's definitely no problem. As long as I'm doing the work and I'm delivering, then we're all good. In terms of work-life balance, I think I got really, really lucky, and I definitely do have a really good balance there that would be really hard to find in a lot of other companies. What fear did you have in the beginning which still haunts you today while starting your DS journey? This is such a good question because I definitely still have a lot of fear, one of them being imposter syndrome, and I think this is really undervalued. A lot of people have it, even the senior dev, senior data scientist, senior management people have it. I do want to normalize sort of imposter syndrome that's among us because I think it's more common than people might think. So sometimes I do feel like, oh, what if I don't know everything? What if I'm coding too slow? Or what if I'm solving this problem wrong? And I think the first step to address imposter syndrome is to recognize it when it happens. When you have those voices in your head, it's just a matter of recognizing it in your head and be like, hey, you're having this thought right now, but it is accurate. And also recognizing that working in technology is going to require constant upskilling and constant learning because technology evolves so fast and there's just simply no way that you can know every single thing. And just try to learn as much as you can. Last question in this category is salary. How much are data scientist salaries in Toronto or Canada? This is a really good question because it does vary so much by country or even by cities. In Toronto, if you're looking at entry-level data scientist position, you can expect a salary of a low 5-figure. So we're talking about 70,000, 80,000 upwards. It really depends on sort of where you work. If you work at a big tech company, of course, it's going to be on the higher range. If you're looking at a tech startup, you're looking at a high 5-figure, or if you're working at a private corporation or traditional retail, for example, you're looking at maybe like around 60 or 70,000. Well, I think I should clarify that this is just the base salary. Of course, you should expect some equity if you're working for a tech company and bonuses as well. And just in light of this base salary, once you get your foot in the door, working for a year or two, you can definitely expect a 6-figure and sort of working out from there as your year of experience increases. This number could be high or low depending on where you're watching this from. So if you're in Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, or in any other major cities in the US, you would think this number is actually really low because the US does pay a lot better than Canada. But on the other hand, if you're in the UK or India, you might think this number is already pretty high. And again, it all depends on cost of living and everything else that's going on. Okay, so that was the questions about my experience, my job right now, my background and everything. And next we have 6 questions about day-to-day life of a data scientist. First question, is it frustrating for you as well when data quality is not good and you have to build models over it? Definitely, girl, I feel you so much. As a data scientist, you really don't spend as much time as you think building models. Majority of the time is all in cleaning the data, finding data, fixing the data. I definitely am frustrated, but not having access to client data, for example, doesn't mean you can't build any models. You just have to find alternative ways to go around that. There are many ways to overcome this lack of data problem or to overcome data quality problem as well. There are many statistical techniques that you can do to fix your data. What steps do you take to make sense of the initial problem statement and supply data? When you're approaching data science problems on the job, I would treat it very similar to how someone would approach a research paper at school, for example. So you would want to know the why, where this ask is coming from, what impact it would make. And so that would require a lot of back and forth discussions with different stakeholders. Once you know the purpose behind what you do, then you can start doing exploratory data analysis, going through the data and see if there's any anomaly or if there's anything you need to do before you can start trying out models. And once you have a good understanding of your data, I would say the next step is to try out different combinations of methods. Start simple, so regressions should always be your starting point. You don't want to use the model in the latest paper for your industry data science projects. That's going to end up costing way too much for your company. You just want to use whatever model that works, whatever data that you have in the least amount of time possible. Now that you've tested out a few different models, you should then apply some measurement and assessment to see what performs the best. Once you have that, you should write up your documentation and ship it off. Keep in mind that this is a very iterative process. Most of the time things don't work and you have to go back to previous steps, and always communicate with your stakeholders more frequently than you think you need to, because you never know, something could have changed, clients could have want something else, so that's very important. The third question is, what instruments do you use in your data science work? There are a few very important ones in data science. Python and SQL is main programming language. For Python, usually a lot of time we're coding in Jupyter Notebook. You need to know your Git so that you can do version control for your code. In terms of SQL, it's important to know your database. Cloud computing is very important. AWS, Google Cloud, they're very widely used these days in production environment. And there are many good courses that you can take as well to get hands-on experience. Some of the other daily tools that we use, including Lucidboard for brainstorming sessions. We also use Confluence Pages for documentations, Jira for agile project management. Next question, what do you actually do on a project? Question after that, similar to, what do you guys exactly do at work? Can you please explain with example? I feel like I could make a video just on what I do day to day. Actually, not one video. I could probably make a series of video on what I do day to day. And I do make them, and I post them a lot on Instagram as well, so follow me there. If I were to summarize it, every data scientist is very different because this role is just so broadly defined. I do a lot of automation, POC, data visualization, dashboards, and model building for predictions. I hope that makes sense. It's really a bunch of words together, but that sums up kind of what I do. I work with product managers very closely, software engineers, research scientists, and sales development people, solution consultants. So it's really, at a startup, you wear many hats, and I feel like what I'm doing now is so different than what I would be doing in 6 months or what I did 6 months ago. Completely different projects. So it really depends on your roles. So follow me on Instagram because that's where I post my most up-to-date day in the life videos. Last question in this category: how often do people ask for help in their daily jobs? All the time. Because it's very rare that you would be working by yourself. The way a team should work is that your skill set should complement each other. Your weaknesses could be someone else's strength. Definitely ask for help. I don't do this enough. I think especially at the beginning of my career, I was scared to ask for help. I was scared to show quote unquote incompetency, but I don't think that's the case. It doesn't show that you're weak at all if you ask for help. It definitely speed up the project a lot, and yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. Finally, the very last category: how you can break into data science and how you can get started on your data science portfolio projects. The first question is, how do I prepare for data science and machine learning interviews? There are a lot of good resources out there. I would highly recommend Nick and Kevin's book, Ace Data Science Interview, because it really gives you a broad overview of everything you need to know to ace data science interview, like the book title. It doesn't go as into depth for each category, but it covers the possible questions that you can be asked in an interview, and it walks you through how you can approach them. If you're looking to, get a refresher on your statistics because you've been out of school for a while, it's a great book for that. Other than that, I would say if you're looking for a job, definitely lead code very early on, because in my opinion, you need at least a month of lead coding before you're ready for a live coding session. Even if you've done it before, you sort of fall out of practice after a while. HackerRank is a great resource for SQL, and so is SQL Zoo. One last tip on machine learning interview is to actually build machine learning models so you can have projects to talk about. For example, when you would be using an accuracy versus an F1 score, that's something you wouldn't know unless you actually done it before and practiced it before. Do you think a bachelor's is required to break into the data science field, or boot camps would work it out? It depends on the person, but boot camp cannot replace your bachelor's degree. Data science is actually a bit different than software engineering in that a degree is highly valued because you would need the statistics, you need the math knowledge to be able to actually do a lot of the modeling in your work. For bootcamp, I think if you're transitioning your career into data science at a later stage, you can definitely leverage your experience at a bootcamp to break into the field of data science. And because data science is still so new, this term didn't really exist even 15-20 years ago. Nobody was called a data scientist. This is also why you see a lot of data scientists today who didn't have a bachelor in data science, is because Bachelor of Data Science didn't exist yet. Let's keep going, shall we? Is it hard to get a job as data scientist in Toronto as a fresher? How do I need to prepare? It is definitely a lot harder now than it was, just given the current economic situation, a lot of layoffs. So when you're applying for entry-level job, you are not only against other people like you, but also the experienced people who got laid off and are fighting for the same job as you are. I have had experience where I was very qualified for a job on paper, but then I was told that there are more senior people that's in the interview pipeline and they would end up going with. When that happens, don't take it personally. Unfortunately, this is just something that we all have to deal with at this moment. To increase your chance to get a job as a early career professional, the key is definitely to build out your data science portfolio. And let's answer some of the questions for how you can build data science portfolio projects. Is Kaggle a good place to start working on projects? Yes. This is especially true if you have no relevant experience whatsoever. And I almost spilled my drink. Just running other people's notebook is a great place to start. Just don't put someone else's notebook on your portfolio and present it as it's your own project, because that's just ethically not right. It's very risky as well. Like, people can really easily find out that that's not your project. A few other good sources to look are YouTube tutorials. I have one on exploratory data analysis. If you want to check it out, it's right here. And let me know if you want more tutorial videos, because I can do that as well. When you actually doing your own portfolio project, make sure that you are choosing a data set set that you're really passionate about, because your passion can really shine through, especially with data science process being so iterative. The interviewers would really want to see that you're actually passionate about the subject, you're passionate about data and data science in general, because that's what's going to push you forward in this career. Next question. I have no experience in any personal projects. Would it be okay to have one that is common? It is okay. So in general, I would say to have 3 to 5 projects for a data science portfolio, and one of them being a common project such as predicting housing prices is completely okay. I think that's all the questions that I have picked out for this video. I do want to end this video with one last very thoughtful question, and that is, what do you think about the field of work in data science in the next 10 years? I think it's a very exciting time to break into data science right now. So far, it has been rather undefined. It's been a very broad field. Data science could mean different things to different people. I'm starting to see that there are more titles coming up in the industry. Instead of just data scientists, data engineers, they're now also analytics engineers, machine learning engineers, research scientists, data analysts, business analysts, data science analysts. There are just so many titles out there. I think the industry is definitely evolving with the technology and with all the new and exciting and emerging tools like generative AI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, and other technologies. Learning about data science and learning about AI would definitely give you that peace of mind in evolving with the technology and not being left behind as society progresses forward, and not having to worry about your jobs being replaced by AI or anything like that, because you're the one creating them. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the next 10 years data science. I think it's going to be a really exciting time. Some of the titles that will be under data science do not exist yet in today's world. Titles like prompt engineer, for example, is completely new in 2023. And I believe there will be many, many more titles like this that will start popping up in data science and in tech in general. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. If you made it this far, hit that like button for me. And if you want to participate in future rounds of Q&As, make sure you follow me on Instagram, because that's where I'll be posting my questions. I'll see you guys in the next video.